First and foremost, I just want to say thanks a lot for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with CageReligion.com. First off, when did you get involved with martial arts? Like, where did your journey begin, so to speak?
I started at the age of 4, and I started in California at a karate school called Red Dragon Karate. And, I just kind of fell in love with it, and I achieved my 5th degree black belt through them, and then a 6th degree under the BKG, another organization out of New Jersey.
You said, and during my research, I read that you've developed your own fighting style. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's funny because back in 1994, I created a style called Tosa-Gundo. It means the way of the fighting fist. We allowed some, ground work back in the days when other karate schools really didn't. It was kind of like even though UFC was around, but we kind of had, we did basically 4 elements back in those days, and I just kind of started an organization to stay away from all the politics. When my guys test for black belt,
right,
the level of black belt, we do a 12-hour test. All the fees there's no testing fees for any belts here, so I'm not under any organization except my own, so that's the way I kind of wanted it. I have, different masters back in my organization, but nothing like so-and-so's got to pay this guy, and then that guy's got to pay that guy, and then there's testing fees. I just don't want testing fees in my school, so I started my own organization.
Right. Do you feel that the style applies well to MMA currently?
Now it does, yeah, for sure, because we now kind of fine-tuned a lot of the wrestling, a lot of jiu-jitsu for the Tosa-Gundo organization with my trainer, Rocky Long. So he's on board now. So really just that was the last missing piece that we put together, and so now it's a well-rounded MMA blend.
Right. Do you feel your experience with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers helps or it hurts your developing MMA career?
It definitely helps now because all my fans are grown up and, they're there to support me and to see me. Maybe hurts me towards certain promoters that might just think, oh, yeah, Power Ranger, now he's fighting, and, Power Ranger, ha, ha, ha.
Right.
Giggle. But, when I started Power Rangers, I was a 3rd degree black belt at the time, so I was already, a serious martial artist, already had lots of little amateur fights out of my schools, and, so it's just got to go out there and prove yourself, and that's kind of what I'm doing now.
Were you always an MMA fan? And if so, who were some of the guys you looked up to while coming up?
I always like Anderson Silva. I mean, he is by far my favorite. I got a tattoo of the B from the Muay Thai camp on my foot. Now, Anderson Silva is what I look, in GSP, George St. Pierre, I think he's great. But as far as being an MMA fan, I don't rent the fights all the time. I do now. I kind of watch it because I have my own radio show on MMAdiehards.com that I do every Thursday night at 8, so I have to know what's going on out there. But even in the entertainment business, I'm so busy filming that I didn't have time to, watch movies. So it's kind of the same thing with MMA, I just don't have the time sometimes.
Right.
But I do definitely watch the fights and stuff, so I'd say Anderson Silva and GSP.
So you're undefeated as an amateur, and I believe you're making your pro debut in August. What do you know about your opponent, and what can we expect to see from you?
Well, expect a good fight. Hoping to last a little longer this time. My opponent, I think he's a boxer. He fought George Foreman's son, and he's making his MMA debut now, so it should be, a fairly equal matchup. And I'm just going to go out there, and I've been practicing a lot of my game with a lot of kicks, and I really want to showcase my kicks now. I haven't in the last 4 fights, but that's one of my strongest points are my kicks.
All right. Well, there's a story a while back of you calling Jean-Claude Van Damme out on TMZ. Can you set the record straight on that?
Yeah, I never called them out. TMZ said, hey, who would you basically like to challenge? I'm not going to challenge anybody from UFC, Strikeforce, all that stuff.
Right.
Said, any celebrities? Yeah, I met Jean-Claude Van Damme. I met him. I didn't like him. And I'm over it now. I forgive him. I don't really care. He's got his own life. I got my own life. But I heard he wants to fight, and everyone's giving him trouble about it because he's 49, and Van Damme, he's a Hollywood actor. So I kind of felt for the guy because I'm going through the same thing myself with being on TV and wanting to fight and all this. So I simply said it'd be great. I think me and him as a matchup, I'll drop weight, come to his weight, and do a great fight. And I think a lot of people, it's a big buy. It's if someone comes behind us, a good promoter, a lot of fans want to see it. So it went out there, it went everywhere, and still haven't heard from anyone, which I don't expect to hear, but it'd be nice to hear something from someone saying, hey, thanks for the offer, but no thanks. So it wasn't doing it in a rude way. It was doing it in a business way, because my fans really wanted to see that fight. So.
Right. So you've got a documentary in the works called 4 Weeks Out. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's pretty much what 4 weeks into a fight, that you got to go through, as far as, being a father and dealing with business and all that stuff. So we're still working on it, and it's got a few snags, but we're working it out, and it's called 4 Weeks Out.
You've also founded the clothing company Jesus Didn't Tap. What made you decide to try your hand at the MMA apparel business, and what separates you from so many other brands?
Well, what separates me is I'm the first and only Christian martial arts clothing company. We got, there are some other ones out there. I don't even know their names, but Jesus Didn't Tap is the most famous. And really why is it wasn't about money or putting it out. It was putting Jesus' name out there. Also, making something positive in the sport. I was tired of these beat you down, this and death this and affliction this, all those are negative words. And I wanted something positive where my little girl was like, oh, Jesus didn't tap. So no matter what, Jesus is the one that put that in my heart and head. So it's up to him. I'm the one that put it out there. I'm the one that fought for it to get out there. And organizations like UFC, WEC, HDNet, we've been in almost every organization. Now we got worldwide distribution in Australia and a few in Asia and UK and all those other things. So, as a new company, we're still in red because there's a lot of development money and a lot of money that goes into it. But when I'm turn into a positive, I plan to do really good things with the money and kind of give back to, underprivileged kids and just do a lot, for my church and a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm looking forward to really, taking that to a whole new level and putting it mainstream.
Right, absolutely. Are you still involved with acting these days? And if so, does the schedule interfere with your training at all?
I just did a film called The One Warrior with James Russo and Dominic Keating, and that was filmed in May. So I had a fight 8 days afterwards. So yeah, it interfered with a couple of my fights, but I still won, which was great, and I still got time to train and all that stuff. So I'm not too worried about it. So I'm pretty excited to still film and all that stuff. So we'll see how this movie does, and it's called The One Warrior. So it should be a pretty good film.
Absolutely. Finally, what is your end goal in MMA?
My end goal really is where my beginning goal was, just to have fun and give something for my fans to watch. The minute I'm not having fun anymore, I'll just pull the plug. It's not about anything. It's just about me. I'm not doing this for a publicity stunt. I'm doing it because I really, honestly like to fight. In my heart, I love fighting. And and I'm putting something positive out there. Jesus Didn't Tap. I usually wear my logos, and the minute it starts getting complicated and confusing and businessy, I'm just not into it. So my ultimate goal is to stay happy and be successful, and and I think success is measured not on money, but success is measured on what you really want to do in life. And as long as I'm doing what I want to do, then I'm successful.
Right. Before we get going, I'd just like to thank you again for taking out the time to speak with CageReligion.com. And is there anything else you'd like to say to your fans before we get going?
No, man. I just appreciate everybody on Facebook, and I know Susan's running my Facebook page, and everybody out there. We almost got 10,000 Facebook fans, so I appreciate that. And just to my sponsors, MMAoverload.com, he's like pretty much the main guy that puts Jesus Didn't Tap all over the world. His website is blowing up as well. So, or you can go to JesusDidn'tTap.com. And if you're in the Orlando area, August 5th, 6th, and 7th, the day after my fight, I'm going to be in Orlando doing an anime convention called AFO. And then on the end of August, I'll be in Los Angeles doing Power Morphicon, which pretty much has every Power Ranger and every person that worked on that show out there. And that's on the end of August. So if you're in the Pasadena, LA area, I'd love for you to come down and check me out.